Happy New Year, everybody. So we have an update coming out this weekend. So the buttons will be in there by the time this recording is emailed to you on Monday, but the buttons are not there right this second. So those of you attempting to play it along at home, that is why you don't see it. But we're excited to bring Report Locker and Report Builder V2 to the party. I am super excited to see, well, I'm always excited to see everybody, but there are some faces and names on this call that use Report Builder differently. And so after I go through the feature functionality, I want everybody to think about how this impacts them and what they may want to do to tweak their process along the way, because there are definitely some places that'll make a lot of lives easier. I'm going to start with Report Locker. So if you look down the left-hand side under MSP reports, we now have a new menu item called Report Locker. You are now going to be able to save downloaded reports into Report Locker without having to download them and re-upload them someplace. You'll see that functionality as we go. So start thinking about your questions. And I will answer them. William will have questions and he's joining right now. So let me let him in. William, I totally said you would have questions. And so I was letting you in before I started. So well played.
I feel good because I beat him here by like 60 seconds.
Well, I do what I can.
So William, this is the release that's coming out this weekend. So your buttons aren't there yet. So when you say, I don't see that, that's why. All right. So here we go. We're starting with Report Locker, the ability to save a report in the platform without having to download it and re-upload it. Where can we find these magical reports and how can we get it to Report Locker? I'll show you now. In quite literally all of the reports, you can now save that report to Report Locker. So I'm going into asset list. If by chance you follow us anywhere on social, I just posted a picture of the icon and said, what is that? Probably your favorite new icon in Lifecycle Insights. It's small but mighty, but here it is, upper right-hand corner. It's an icon of a safe. And however we build this report, I can add it to Report Locker. How do I add it there? I can export it. When I go to export the report, you're going to see there is now an option to download and save to Report Locker. This functionality works the same way all over the platform. So stick with me. I'm going to download and save to Report Locker. And as it does this, it is downloading exactly what you have for this asset list. If you had filtered it, swatched it, sorted it, it's going to save it as is to Report Locker. And you'll notice it pops up with all the other asset list reports that I happen to add today. So these are the 3 times I have saved the asset list as a point in time asset report. If I decided, well, I really didn't need that first one, I just built that and I'm updating it, I can delete my old one. That's fine. And now I can also link to a business review. So if I wanted to say this asset report is the one I delivered to my partner on a phone call, a virtual meeting, a QBR, etc., I can link it there. So when I choose to link, it's going to give me a list of all of my meeting dates. And I can say on December 10th, that is when I did that. And it's going to link it to the business review there. I'm going to close this. Oh, well, while I'm in here, you also have a new upload to Report Locker icon in here, so that if you downloaded this to Word, added your own language, changed it somehow, you could upload a report from your computer. So you could add any report to the locker at that point. So if I'm trying to see, like, okay, when's the last time I sent them an asset list? I could go to Report Locker and see those reports. If I'm trying to remember which this one is, if you click on it, it'll go ahead and download it for you. And then you can pull up the report that you built that day. So Report Locker is now actively letting you hold asset reports. It is also actively letting you hold user lists. So let's remember, how do we get to report locker? Let's say this one, I'm going to just swatch, and I want a smaller version of the report. I go to the export function, I download it, and I download and save to Locker. So now I'm in my Locker on the user list page, so I can see all of the user list reports that I have saved for this particular client. Report Locker down here holds all of my reports across all of my clients, because face it, I don't want to go on the asset list and grab my old one, and the user list and grab my old one, and this one and grab my old one. In Report Locker, I'm going to get all of the reports that I already had delivered to the client. So I can see the assessment, the 2 asset lists I've loaded, that user list that I just added. So it's truly lockering and holding all of the reports for that particular client. As you can see in the middle here, you can, and I'll make this a little bigger, I bet that's small to read. You can see the dates if I have linked them to a business review. You can do that inside a business review. You can do that inside the report itself. So I'm going to go into a business review. And you can see on this virtual meeting, so 312, I have a Creative Designs asset list. That's one of the reports or artifacts that we have loaded. So you can already see that I've attached one in there. I'm going to go into that meeting. And you can still load artifacts the old way. You can still go into the meeting and upload a report. But if it's an internal to LCI report, you can now just associate it to the meeting without having to click in here separately. So I could upload a report just like I had. Maybe I've got a report from Huntress I want to include. I could link that there. Or I could link to an existing report. Maybe that report builder report that I built, etc. So you can now connect the dots between a report and when you presented it to them. You don't
A
have
question came up in chat, Marnie,
Yeah.
while you're looking at this, how we have them broken down into assessments, asset list, report builder, etc.
Yep.
If you upload a report yourself, what category, what heading does that go under?
It depends on the page you are in when you upload it. So if you upload it under asset, it'll land under asset. I believe if you upload it here, it just lands under business review, but I will confirm that.
Okay.
To
I
business.
think that covers the chat.
Okay, perfect. So let's just scrolling through budget forecast. You can now save the report, link it to a business review, recommendations, not the any of the pages that have, so the roadmap board doesn't have an export because it's not printable, so that can't be saved, right? But the roadmap list has the export button, so it can be saved to the locker. Contracts, export can be saved to the locker. Also, each of the more reports tiles can be saved to the locker, right? So your Microsoft Secure Score, if you wanted to save that as a snapshot in time, you could export, save it to locker. Any questions about the lockering before we move to report builder? Because report builder has quite a big shift with V2. I can see Alex said that we didn't have anything else in chat, so I'll assume no new things have come out.
Derek asked, yeah, there's a couple there we want to address.
Is there a limit to how much you can save to report locker? I haven't been told that there is a limit. So I suspect the interweb might have some thoughts on that, but I will confirm.
Fair usage applies.
Yeah, yeah. I will ask to confirm, but I have not heard that there is one. Can we send the report locker to my client? So Mark, the beauty of having report locker as a line item is you can create a security role and give them access to that. So now if you've loaded a single assessment in report locker or 7 assessments in report locker, they only have access to the downloaded version that's in report locker. So you do have a way of sort of governing that. So yes, you absolutely can just create a security role, give them access to that. So you can't send them report locker, but they can log in and have access to report locker. Is locker synonymous with vault or filing cabinet? Absolutely. That's why we have the safe icon there. I feel like people are going to try and back up. Okay, let's not back up the world in there if there's no limit.
Back up the internet.
You're
Yeah.
right. That is all it takes is that one guy. So can we send automated email reports into a report locker? Right now, the automated reports that we have go to an email, so we don't have them scheduled. But I think we're looking at being able to schedule other reports, and I'll add that to the question that we asked the team.
But if I could jump in real quick, just a little
Yeah.
clarification. It's really around keeping track of artifacts to prove compliance. So monthly antivirus report showing X amount of devices were protected and X amount of threats were stopped, right? These are monthly reports that we'd like to capture point in time so that we can prove we were doing our job back at that point in time, right?
That makes perfect sense. And, all of the cybersecurity frameworks are asking what your policy is for having user inventories and asset inventories. So if you've just got them automatically sent to the locker, it makes sense. Right now, you will have to manually do that, but I think I get the ask. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm making a feature request ticket for it now.
Okay, I'm still scrolling through. Is there an expiration on how long they are stored for? We don't have an expiration date set on there. And we've had Report Builder for about 1.5 years and haven't sunset anything that's in Report Builder. So you would hear plenty of notice about how we would plan to archive things for you, but we don't have a plan to expire them right now.
If it becomes a problem, we may come up with a plan, but we'll make sure that it's,
Yeah.
how we love to communicate.
Yeah.
You'll hear about it once or twice.
You'll hear about it at least 7 more times, and one more time a little louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, I mean, these files really aren't that big, so as long as it's not being abused, we probably won't go push on anything like that. If we feel like it's being abused, we may decide that we have to have you guys attach a third-party S3 bucket or something like that for expanded storage, but we'll address all that as it goes.
Yeah. So Report Locker really came to be because folks had Report Builder and we needed to, and I'm definitely looking at some folks who who have this problem. Yep, I see that smirk. Who needed a solution so that their Report Builder screen wasn't scrolling days on end. So if you are new, I'm going to start, because folks that have done this a ton of time know where what they need to clean up. I'm going to start as though I'm doing this from scratch, and then I will answer all of the questions for people that have done this before, because if you're brand new and I start with Kirk's questions, I feel like we might lose some folks. So we're going to start brand new. And when I say brand new, I mean brand new. This is what Report Builder looks like today. When you log in on Monday, do you see here on the top of the screen, there is a new version of Report Builder available. Try it out now. So if you've got something you've got to get out the door and don't want to have to juggle new UI, you can leave it here, or you can hit try it out now. You try it out now and you hate it, you can revert it. So right here next to Report Builder, you can go back to the previous version. It's not going to lose any of your data. It'll just put it back to a comfortable UI. So we're going to try to do that when we have major UI changes. So you don't have to spend all night the first night redocumenting all of your documents. Plus this way we give William, et cetera, the opportunity to go beat it up for a week because he'll have 4 emails for me by 7 p.m. tonight. So what's new with Report Builder? When you click here on Monday, there will be a recording of this condensed. So if you've forgotten some of the features, functionalities. But if you are brand new to Report Builder, this is where you create your template, right? Your portfolio of business review items. If I'm brand new, I probably want to say, like, does Lifecycle just have a sample template that I can start with? And in pre-built templates, you will have 2. There will be a sample template and a new one. And I'm just going to start with that sample template. So look at the functionality that's changed. We give you some more space in the middle of the screen, right? We've populated the report, and your components are now down the right side. You guys have ginormous monitors. You ladies have ginormous monitors, but If you need some more space, you can click this gear and hide those components and get even a little more space. Okay. So the managed components are now over on the right-hand side. And as you click through the components, it rebuilds the reports as you would expect. So some functionality around these components, right? We just grabbed generic components, you know, an executive summary, an assessment summary, 5-year budget forecast, 6-quarter budget forecast. You can see that project summary is in yellow. It's in yellow because that is specific to that client. I can't set a project summary. I have to define what it is for this particular client. So the yellow is highlighting you need to do something before you can say print this out, because we don't know what project you want to use. So when I go in here, if you've already built a recommendation, I can say, great, I'm going to add this recommendation. You can see it goes blue, so it recognizes that I need to update it. I'm going to go into project summary. I've already made a deploy MFA everywhere one. And now that everything is tidy over here, I can save this template. Kirk, I didn't have to rename it Creative Designs, because it's saving it local to this client, so that this dropdown will only have the templates for this particular client. So you can now parse them out, so you don't have to change naming conventions. It's always live. You also have the option, when I click down here, oh, I haven't changed anything. If I had changed something, let me add a new, well, let me start with, I will go ahead and add a new component. Suppose you look at this and say, well, that's not exactly how I want to do my business review. I want to add an agenda at the top. I'm going to click add a component, add an agenda. I'll just use Lifecycle's generic agenda. It populates it over here on the right. I'm going to move it to the top. If you look at the sample agenda and the executive summary, you can see that they have a little globe next to it. So this is, I'm currently editing the global version of this agenda template. So if I want my agenda template not to say check-in, but intro, and I save it now, I've saved that across all of my clients. But the agenda, face it, is going to have some unique to that client items. So I can switch this to company-based, and now it is intro for all of the party people at Creative Designs. And when I save it now, that only pops up for Creative Designs agenda template. I feel like that takes a second to wrap your head around, but if it's global, it updates all the language everywhere. If you switch it to company-based, it only changes it for Creative Designs. So that's where you can put specific content for Creative Designs. You'll see on the right-hand side, a lot of our components don't have the globe on it, because the 5-year budget forecast can automatically populate client over client, right? Because it's the settings are the same. But if I added, let me add an assessment summary. I'll add a new assessment summary. An assessment summary, it pops up yellow. Why does it pop up yellow? I don't have a single assessment that's scored the same way across all of my clients. I have to go select which event did I want to run that against. I like this one. And now I can save it to this client. And I've saved it to this template. So everybody will now have an assessment summary at the bottom. If I didn't want to save it for everyone that way, I could go and save it as a new template. Now, once I have this built the way I want, we still have presentation mode, the way that you're used to it. And I now have the export. When I go to download, it's going to give me the option to download and add to Report Locker. I will tell you, I'm on a dev site, so this takes a little bit of a hot minute for it to generate. It'll be faster in production, they promised me. I said, guys, you're killing me. That means I'm going to have to come up with 60 seconds of monologue for this while we wait for it to download. So feel free to come off mute, ask me questions, or put some things in the chat. I'll read the chat while we wait for this to download. What's the, so that, yeah, that little camera icon, it's all safe now, right? Yes, Alex, that is true. You are going to have to redo your standard operating procedure docs on how to use the tool for sure. Okay, so here we are. It's loaded to Report Locker. I can link it to a business review. So this is the one I just generated. I'm going to link it to the business review that I'm doing in March and submit that. So now it's going to tell me that I've linked this one to a meeting. So it already pushes it to my locker and it'll push it to that business review as well. Are there questions in that scrolling list, or are we good? Okay, I think we're good then. Okay, so let's say you want to start fresh. I'm going to X out the template that I'm looking at. I have pending changes. I am actually good with letting those go. You know, the first time you use a new feature, you should really read those buttons before you just auto dismiss them. Fair? Like, can we all promise that we'll read the modals when they pop up? Oh, I see some like, I hear you, Marnie, but I'm still not going to read the delete messages. That's what support's for. So we are actually putting some governors in there that will slow you down a bit, but that is what support is for. Don't forget, top right here, recover, delete, report builder templates. So if you delete something, you can go recover it yourself. But let's go ahead and build one from scratch. So I would add an agenda template. I'm going to add an assessment summary, and I'm going to add an asset list. No surprise, right?
I do like how you build the components on the side. That I do, it feels more built properly.
I agree. The UI feels better. I also love that the ones that are not filled in are yellow. So you're like, oh, right. Of course, I have to go pick an assessment. And I said, can you put yellow so that like it points them back over and says, go to that drop down over there and grab an assessment.
Oh, that's cool.
Now I'm going to save.
Marnie, one of the reports,
Yeah.
One of the reports that I do is like a worksheet where I made some custom fields that we use. And so when a client is doing workstation planning, I send them their workstations and they can just tell me, what are your plans for these workstations? If I give them access in a security group, would they be able to like write on that, or would they have to do like a custom upload of the version that they edited?
So one of the
I don't have anything near this functionality right now, so I'm not trying to like get you to promise anything. It would just be neat.
No, well, one of the things that they are.
If we had a roost form. Oh, wait.
Nobody asked you. Somebody put him on purpose.
I know, like, where's the, things that they're going
Greg,
to
one
do.
place you could do that. Oh, go ahead, Marty.
I was gonna say, one of the things that they're going to do is turn off the read-only mode and presentation mode also, so that they could actually, so you could type into the piece. So I see,
good.
yeah, some head nods there. So I don't think, I mean, if it's a Word doc, they can edit in here for sure,
But
right?
there's also an extra data field option in the asset list. Are you aware of that, Greg? You could put a replace option right in the asset list for them.
But when I send them the report, I want them to be able to say, I want to replace this one, and like code in their opinion.
Yeah, so I think that is, I don't think it currently functions like that, but that's not saying that's not something we can ask for. Translate to Klingon.
So this is totally a random idea and probably stupid, but like, I feel like on the sample agenda, it'd be really neat if you could use variables. Like, so when you, like, if you can have like your sample agenda with like user variables and like, I don't know, have it just pull in
So
some like rich,
riddle me
so
this,
kind of off
Batman.
topic.
What, no, it's not really, because we're talking about an agenda builder where you would be able to put client goals and then say, add it to the agenda. So it wouldn't be a field that you'd be entered, but it would be like, I've got this client goal, throw it on the agenda. And so it would automatically sort of pre-populate with some language. Is that?
Mhm.
The one piece that I find about this that I really want to show an example so that you understand what the delete message means is I have saved this new template, right? Save as a new template. This is Marnie testing. I've saved it. We're good to go. There was an issue retrieving my.
Sorry, we already have a Marnie template or testing. You have to,
You know what? That is probably it. There are probably 100 Marnie templates. Let me go to this trial template, this version of my template. So I'm going to delete the 6-quarter budget for this particular client, right? Right now I'm on global. So if I delete this, this is deleting this 6-quarter budget forecast across all my clients. You're going to have a new delete message that says you're deleting that across everybody. Is that what you really want? If I just wanted it for this particular client and I delete it now, I'm just going to delete it for this individual client. So this is the one place where the delete functionality is going to have a bigger modal to say, like, you're deleting that across everyone. Is that what you want? So this lets you have the template.
can you put that like red delete button that you see in memes? That's like,
Yeah.
don't do it.
So I told we discussed it today. They're not putting it at the top with a little blue okay. It's going to be a big modal in the middle with 3 options. And I was like, can we even not select one for them? Like, make them read this one. So anyway, I think that's important for folks playing along at home. So again, report locker, now you can see any of the ones that you've saved. So the notion of this is saving the point in time, right? Because it basically creates the download and re-uploads it for you. So it's not a link, it's actually downloading the PDF or the Word doc. It also saves you from having to rename this, because now your Get Well Medical client reports are over in Get Well Medical's report locker, and your creative design reports are in creative designs. So Kirk just went off the screen, and I know he's one that has a lot of naming conventions, but let's talk through this. When you log into yours, if you have 100 templates already built, you will be able to go in, click on your template. So say this was Q3 for whatever client. I could go in and save it to report locker. And then if you want to, you can remove it from the template list, because that's now saved as point in time. So if you want to remove it, you can, and that'll clean it up and move everybody to a single client, right? It'll move it to that individual client. So there may be some cleanup that you want to do. It doesn't need to be done right away. If there were a way we could do it programmatically, we would have. We thought about it for sure. But the reality of it is the naming conventions are not consistent across everyone where we would feel comfortable doing that with your data. So we are always happy to hop on a call and talk through your specifics if you want to better understand what would be the best way for you to handle the shifting. Alex Ivanov, not Farling, we'd also, of course, be more than happy to talk through any shifts that you need to make in your process. We will have documentation so that you can share that. So other questions about this? I think once you see it, you recognize, like William, you said, the functionality is the same, but feels a little more natural to have kind of those components pop out on the right-hand side. You build it, shows up in the middle. Any other comments or questions? I'm not seeing them. This is just a friendly reminder that wherever you are, you will want to hit the download, and the download is what will let you push something to the locker.
Kirk, we do have a 1% discount for a 3-year contract.
That will reimburse you in 3 years.
Yeah.
I think Steve's got a cat that is operating his keyboard now. So one other piece, report locker, right, currently lives under MSP reports. Although in this case, I could switch from Creative Designs to Dharma Enterprises, et cetera. But know that we are getting to the place where you will be able to save an asset ad hoc report into Report Locker as well across all of your clients. So that's why it's down below the across all MSP line. You know, we can save a Microsoft 365 type of thing. Yeah, so Matthias, we actually talked about that a bit ago. We are that is what, oh, who asked me? I think Brian asked. Yeah, that we would like to do scheduled reports. We have to get the shipment component on all of the other individual reports before we can schedule them there. Yeah. All right, any other questions? While you're thinking through that, next week, we now have the Hoodoo integration. So I know some of you opted in for Hoodoo. So we have folks, which is getting us actually quite a bit more just different looks at different places that might speed up some other integrations along the way. Sam from Hoodoo will be joining me next week to talk about some of their best practices on not a Hoodoo sales pitch. And then the following week, we plan to have the product roadmap for the year. So I know that people like to get in line for that one and join that call. So that's what we know we have coming up. And this will be, so just a reminder, this will go out this weekend. So Monday, when you log in, if you haven't logged out, you'll have to log out and log back in again. And I want to show you what it's going to look like again. You're going to have, there's a new version of Report Builder available. Try it out now. If you're in a panic and want to go back, you can hit the revert button, and we're going to give it a good amount of time to make sure everybody's comfortable and, you know, have gotten comfortable doing the work over here. There will be a video for what's new. You can revert it here. And again, in all of the reports now, if you go to export, when you hit the download option, download and save to Locker. So download and save to Locker. If you hit that every single time, your Locker is going to have like 97 versions of asset lists. So you may want to think about cleaning up your Report Locker every now and then. But as a former high school assistant principal, I can tell you, some of you aren't going to clean out your Locker. And we'll have like a Locker amnesty clean out day. And I'll bring trash bags around and everybody can, can go look at their lockers.
I got a question, since we have a big group here.
Yeah.
A gap we have right now that we're struggling with is the idea that, you know, we're doing asset management for our clients, but we're not really able to keep an eye on their mobile devices too well, right? We're managing them with Intune. How do we get them into a platform like this, right? So you pull from the PSA. I know what you're going to tell me as well. Get them into your PSA somehow, right? But I don't. Is there an easy answer for that? Does anyone have an answer?
And who is importing from a CSV? I know the folks that I usually talk to about it aren't on.
I do sometimes, and I would really love the option to delete stuff on my own without having to ask.
Yeah. So I think that is one of the cleanup pieces that they're going to work on. We know you would like to do that yourself. And frankly, it would be more efficient for us if we could let you delete that yourself, right?
Right,
Well,
right.
yeah, because I end up doing the CSV imports a lot on like sales presentations. And so like I'll pull it in, like basically do like an asset review so that way we have it cleaned up. And then we install everything, get everything mapped, and then it's like, great, we forgot to clean out LCI before we mapped everything. And now we've got duplicates of everything. So just my own personal use case.
Yes. So Brian, that might not be helpful. What not to do is import from CSV and then forget to delete when you want. Does anybody else have thoughts?
So I just kind of have like a thought process on what Brian was just saying. You know, right now today, you know, we're using, let's call it old school Gen 1 MSP tools that are integrating to a PSA with configs. I don't know how happy everyone else is with them, but I'm looking for something different. We're diving pretty heavily into the Intune pool, and there'd be nothing I would love more than to tell Enable to pound sand.
Alex put in a note that he'd love to hear. We really would like to, like our developers have talked about, we would love to hear what you want from Intune because we agree.
And we could just,
We just don't have a
SSI.
huge background in Intune. Sorry,
Yeah.
Wes.
I was gonna say, just start with the devices to where we can pull in, because that would be a place that I could get my mobile devices from, right?
Right.
I get an Intune app deployed on them. I know what they are and I can pull those over. And, that can, I think that's probably more forward thinking a little bit, but yeah.
Well, it's not. We do that with our LineGuard integration today. It'd just be one more thing that we do natively as opposed to relying on LineGuard for it.
Brian, would Intune get your mobile devices or is that still?
It should, yeah.
I've tried going to LineGuard. LineGuard says they do not bring in Intune devices to the PSA,
No, but we will pull them direct from LineGuard.
but you don't bring them in as a separate item type, right?
We do.
Well,
Marty,
I
go
guess
down-
I could,
Marty, go down to the LineGuard integration.
but you don't separate out mobile versus workstation, I think, on the import, right?
We
It's just
should.
like one device
Um,
that you're bringing in.
If you look at the bottom there.
Yeah, so mobile devices you can select. So if you have created one that is mobile.
Oh, no, but G Suite breaks them out and
So that,
and Intune does not. Does Intune give you that visibility natively?
Yeah, they give
know.
us and device type, so we can absolutely see that it's, a mobile device running, iOS version, whatever.
Yeah, we want to make sure we can, to Alex Ivanoff's point, we want to make sure we can separate those out because you don't want to see every phone that has email on it, and you don't want to see every, we want to make sure that we can identify the difference, because a phone might cost about as much as a PC these days, but depends on how nice your work phone is. But we want to adjust for replacement costs and all the other things that come with phone management.
well, the hard thing too is under, with BYOD, right? It's like, okay, here's all the mobile devices. Which ones are company owned? Which ones are not?
Does Intune
Right.
know the difference?
You classify it in Intune. If you're doing it right, they're registered with like Apple Business, so it knows during the onboarding that it belongs to the company. But you can set that variable. That variable either automatically gets set if they're registered properly, or you can go in and manually set whether or not it's company owned or personal in Intune.
Kind of depends if you're
So-
doing.
so that would be
MDM
your source
management
of
or
truth.
MAM.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh, did you have a follow-up on that?
Oh, I was just saying, it would depend on if the device is registered inside of Azure AD and Intune as mobile application management or mobile device management.
Okay.
That's where you would see the two
Application
differences
management
in-
is email only, is that right?
Yeah, and being able to run Office apps and stuff on
Got it.
your iPhone, Android.
Yeah, I guess that'd be the easiest way by policy. Although you could have someone put an MDM policy on a BYOD device.
Yes.
Even though they're not supposed to without a proper agreement in place.
I'm looking at the LineGuard integration where you were just at,
Yep.
and it looks like you can only choose one of the items in the dropdown. So if you scroll down to where you have phone, can I select phone and servers, for example?
No, it would just be like that single line item, the mobile devices that are coming over from G Suite, you can only pick one asset type. Now, inside the asset list, you could multi-select and change their asset type policy. But in terms of us dumping them onto the asset list, it would only land in one of the categories.
Okay, I have to play with that a little bit.
So if you had in that category, phones and servers, that seems like
Right.
a combo platter, but if you did, in the asset list, I would select the one where the most, right? They're mainly phones. They're going to be 2 servers. Okay. Then I'm going to go manually update the servers.
And I wonder if there's a difference in the way that we look at it and that we need to go back and look at our LionGuard integration to clean that up. But my guess is that LionGuard hands us all that data in one device type, one data set. So that's why we present it that way, but could be wrong.
And I'm thinking through it a little bit. I would be able to pull my server information out of IT Clue, which is pulling it from my RMM. So I probably would have it. So then for the Intune piece, it's less likely, but more likely I'd be more interested in, say, I gave a person a phone and a laptop.